Hello, friends. It's Nancy from Astrology and Angel Mediums again today with a pick a pile reading. So, this is your opportunity to choose whatever deck you feel drawn to, and then go check out the timestamps to kind of show you where your reading will begin. So, let me know if you are drawn to pile 1, pile 2, or pile 3. Have a good one, and I'll see you where your reading is. Hello, pile 1. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really hope that this reading finds you well and that you enjoy the different things that we're going to talk about in your reading. So let's see what we have in store for you today. I didn't really shuffle these too much, so let's see. I want this one, that one. We're going to do them upside down first so we don't see what's going on. I think. And then something from up here. Okay, I think that's good. What do you guys think? Should we pull everything first? Let's do that. We'll pull everything first and then we'll kind of get into it. Oh, I already got that. One of these. One of these. Something here. Something here. Oh, I forgot to grab this other deck that I wanted to add. Let me grab that real fast. Give me a moment. I did not. I thought I did, and then I didn't. It happens, right? And one of these. Oh, I didn't mean to turn it around yet. It was supposed to be a surprise. I'm trying to see how this goes with like making a surprise. But since I already flipped this one, we have that. Oh, I'm already seeing something here. I feel like, oh, look at these colors. I'm loving the colors so far here. I like how no matter what deck I have going on, it's like we have very similar kind of colors and cool. I can never pick them up all the way. All right, now let's see what tarot cards we have. First, Two of Fire, Curiosity of Water. I'm going to flip this one. I feel like that one should be reversed. That one is good. Three of Water. And then I feel like Six of Air. And then that's so funny. I just pulled these cards out of for something else. And I just feel like I keep seeing the same cards over and over again. So I feel like this one goes up here. What are we thinking? What are we thinking? All right, let me just make sure everything's in frame. Because sometimes I don't. I'm going to like move you. Sorry if you don't like that. I'm just trying to make sure we have enough space for everything. And that it's all kind of making sense for our reading today. While also utilizing all of it. I know it's going to take me a second. I probably should not have had it still recording. But it is what it is. We live and we learn and we're kind of going through it. All right. So here is like, oh my goodness. Let's go this way. I'm adjusting. I'm sorry. All right. Let's get started with your reading. Well, a lot of beautiful blues and teals and kind of showing me this like emotional, watery energy. So I'm going to start with the actual tarot cards I pulled. So the very first one we have here is the Two of Fire or the Two of Wands, which to me is really a card of getting out into the world, moving past some of our fears or things that we felt comfortable doing, and very much about kind of making the choices proactively to see that momentum, to see things through. Next to that, we have the Curiosity of Water reverse. So this is the Page of Cups reverse. So there may be some emotional blockages or maybe some things that are kind of making you hold back. Maybe it's been hard for you to feel like there's an opportunity to kind of get out into the world and to step fully in the emotionality that you've been feeling. Next to that, we have Emergence, which is essentially the Judgment card. And to me, this is really just kind of saying like you're ready to kind of go out into the world, but maybe you've been a little bit stuck in this energy of like how to make it work, how to do these things, how to make things make sense, so to speak. And so maybe there's a little bit of this like hesitation to really get out of your own way. And judgment is also to me a lot of like rebirth and transformation in the sense of, like you're rising up from a period of dormancy or things not really working the way that you thought they were going to. So it's more of just kind of like that opportunity to rise up again. Next to that, I have the Eight of Wands or Eight of Fire reversed, which, like I said in one of the other videos that I was just doing, and even just in like my own personal readings right now, is that there's been a lack of momentum, a lack of movement. Maybe it feels like things have not really been going the way that you thought they were going to. And so that may be having you question if you're on the right track, if you're doing the right thing, if you are actually showing up the way that you need to. And so there is a little bit of this sense of you're ready to hit the ground running, but the opportunities are just not really showing up, or things are not really coming the way that you thought they were going to. And so it can make you question what this transformation is kind of asking of you. Next to that, we have the Seven of Air, which is Seven of Swords. Again, I've been pulling this card quite often for myself too. So I feel like the lesson here is very much about learning how to move past the things that maybe didn't work out the way that we anticipated. The Seven of Swords to me is very much this card of like being sneaky, secrets, like trying to slink away with something. And so there's a lack of honesty that is maybe showing up here that maybe is bringing up a lot of like mental conflict. And I think with all of these cards is that maybe you feel like that momentum, the movement, the being able to just kind of move into this next thing has not really been going according to plan. And so there's been a lot of this sense of like, I don't really know what's going to happen because I'm not seeing the entire picture, or not everything has been revealed to me. So that makes it a little bit more confusing for me to recognize and see what it is that I need to be doing. Now, underneath that, we have the Three of Water, which is essentially a card of like celebration, connections, sharing the love that you have. To me, this is really saying like you need to take some time out to celebrate. You need to take some time out to kind of have a little bit more fun, get back into that creative kind of energy that maybe you haven't been seeing with this Page of Cups reverse. And so it's almost an invitation to me to kind of step out of our own way and say, you know what, things may not be going the way that I thought they were going to. Things may not be moving the way that I thought they were going to, but I still have things to be happy about and celebrate, and to kind of connect and call in more of that emotionality, the love, the connection, and the opportunity to kind of show up in new ways. Now, the Six of Air is a card of healing and transformation. To me, in the sense of like, transforming your environment versus like allowing yourself to be changed by what is going on around you. It's very much a card of like really allowing healing to begin in so many different ways. So since this is the Six of Swords, essentially, it's really kind of giving you this like invitation to say, what is it that you need to kind of open yourself up to be able to move into this next thing? This to me is also a card that really can talk about like crossing water in some way. And I think with the Emergence card, it's almost saying like there's been a transformation or a rebirth to some of the plans that you've had to maybe kind of move into this next thing, and to really allow yourself to allow yourself to have more ease, allow yourself to have things really move a little bit smoother for you, versus being so stuck and trying to make them work in ways that maybe weren't really making sense for like who you are and who you've become. The other thing with the Seven of Air kind of in between these cards is that I think it's almost saying like, maybe you haven't been quite so honest with yourself, and there's been a lot of this uncovering within yourself of really realizing and recognizing that maybe some of the things that you've put a lot of your efforts and intentions into didn't really quite work out the way you thought they were going to. Now, moving on to the oracle cards I pulled is going to be Moving Through Fear, which is what it sounds like. Maybe you've been kind of stuck in certain patterns, or maybe you've been a little bit comfortable. And I think by not seeing that movement and momentum that you thought you were going to, and having to kind of experience this transformation, that there's a lot of things that have maybe come up within you that have rocked you in certain ways or have kind of destabilized you. And so this fear may not feel very good, but I don't think that it's new. And I think the biggest thing with that is that maybe you're recognizing all of these deeper things within you that you're like, holy crap, I was hanging on to all of this stuff. And it doesn't really make sense for what is going on and what it is that I need and who I am moving forward. And so there is a little bit of this like sensitivity, I guess would be like the nicest way of putting it. And I think that's why we have this like water emotion card, where it's almost saying like, okay, maybe you need to kind of heal through allowing yourself to feel your emotions and to kind of choose what it is that you want to feel for yourself and make those changes. And I think with the Six of Air, where it's very much this card of like healing and kind of like moving into like this next phase, you have to kind of feel the things that are happening so that you can truly move through this fear and move out of it, so that you can kind of say, I may not know what the next phase is going to look like. I may not even know what tomorrow is going to be like, but I can just show up authentically as myself and kind of push past the things that would, in other situations, kind of keep me small and keep me stuck. So underneath that, we have letting go. I don't know if you guys can see it. Hopefully you can. So again, there's a lot of water here, right? It's almost saying like, okay, you have to just allow, you have to surrender, you have to let shit go. And whether that is things within yourself, things within your situation, things within your circumstances, even relationships and connections, or even expectations that you need to kind of learn to release and just kind of say, you know what, I'm going to bow down to the powers that be. I'm not in control of anything, but I can control how I feel about stuff. So I'm not going to continuously stress myself out about having to know exactly how it's going to look or how it's going to work. And I think that's why we have this spiritual cleansing card too, is that it's maybe saying, hey, this is why you feel so cloudy and so murky and so confused, is that you haven't done some of the spiritual cleansing. You haven't done your spiritual practices of taking care of yourself as an energetic being and as a spiritual person. And maybe this is why there has been this lack of momentum and movement, even if you're like, I'm making the right choices, I'm doing what I need to do, but there is a lack of this connection to the work that you're doing, or a connection to really diving back into those practices within yourself. And I know it's hard to make that time to really prioritize our spiritual well-being, especially in such a physical world. And it's even hard to sometimes even prioritize our physical health, because we're like, we just got to keep going. I don't have time. I don't have the money. I don't have the opportunity to take time off or to take care of myself. And I think a lot of these cards are kind of saying like, all right, you need to find ways to reconnect. And whether that spiritual cleansing is in just being aware of like, oh, you know, I'm a Reiki practitioner, I need to kind of do myself Reiki. Or, oh, I need to make sure I'm smudging my space, or smoke cleansing, or blessing myself, or protecting myself energetically before I'm around certain, you know, situations and circumstances and spaces. It is very much a reminder of just kind of like bringing it back to basics and taking care of yourself. Now, over here we have Cosmic Sisterhood, which is about finding community, finding that sisterhood in the sense. And even if you're like, I am not a woman, or I am a them, it's really about connection, community. And Cosmic Sisterhood has this different energy. And just like I tell, you know, other people all of the time, is that female friendships or female connections and relationships have a completely different level of intimacy that is required in order for them to continuously grow and change and really feel beneficial for a lot of us. And we crave that. A lot of people do crave that connection and community. And I think that this is almost saying like, find that spiritual community, find the people around you that see the patterns, that connect with you, that are opening those doorways for you, whether it's within yourself or within your life, and kind of having like that cosmic spider web, basically, of that connection to everything and everyone around you, whether it's in your community or the community that you're building online or something along those kind of facets. Just being very mindful of who's around you, what sort of sisterhood are you building, how are you being supported through these different things, and what is it that you need. And then finally, I have ask for help. I think that this is more of just maybe feeling like you're a little bit of a burden in some ways, or maybe it's uncomfortable to ask for help because maybe you're like, I have asked for help and it didn't work out, so why should I ask for help now? And this is something I am very guilty of. Is sometimes I feel like I've put out, my call for help and nobody showed up, so I don't really know what to do, or I feel very much like something's wrong with me because things are not really going the way that I thought they were going to. And I think that's why we have this letting go card. It's almost saying like, hey, you got to let go of all the stuff that has been kind of sucking you down, pulling you down into things, and just know that something is coming. Something is trying to come to your rescue, to your aid, to help you rise up from the things that you feel have been kind of keeping you down. And asking for help doesn't mean you have to physically ask everyone around you for help. It can just be something as simple as just asking your guides to show up and help you. So I hope that this reading made sense. Pile number 1. If you have any questions or suggestions or comments, let me know down below. But thank you so much for joining me. Please take care. Take it easy. Make good choices. Bye. Hello, pile number 2. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that these cards don't go flying everywhere. But I hope that this reading finds you well. And I really hope that you enjoy the messages that I will be discussing today. So let's see what we have for you. I'm going to do this a little bit differently, where I'm just going to kind of pull what I feel drawn to and just let it be what it wants to be. I'll do a couple more here. All right. I'm going to do you. And then we'll do you. Maybe I should have pulled all of these beforehand, so it's like not you guys just like waiting for me to see what we have here. But I just kind of want to see how this goes. I'm having a little bit of fun with this, so I guess this one wants to come out too, so you get 2 of these. All right, you ready? Let's see what we have. So the very first card we have is the Star. And we have Temperance reversed. 4 of Swords. Oh my gosh. This card has been following me. So I'm like, what do we have? What has everyone got going on right now that we are all having to have? So that's so funny. I think this is how I want it. Hopefully everything is in frame. So we have, oh my goodness. Okay. Look at this. It is, and I love how all these colors are kind of going together. Yep. And then we have Pray for Insight. We'll do that one there. And then Unseen Blessing. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. All right. Well, hopefully everything is good and making sense and in frame for the most part. Okay. So the very first card I want to talk about, so I'm trying to straighten out my piles of cards, is the Star. So the Star is what it sounds like. This is about the opportunity that arises from the things that have maybe fallen away, or the things that have happened that have made you perhaps question everything that's been going on. So this is you trying to find your inspiration, your hope, your sense of direction, trying to kind of find that light in the darkness. And the thing with the Star, and then also with it having we have three major cards here. Having Temperance next to it reversed, I feel like maybe there's been some stuff, some upheaval that is maybe making you question what is bringing your life into balance, or maybe even feeling like things are not really working the way that you thought they were going to in some way. And so maybe that is why it's almost saying like you got to start off with your faith. You have to start off with like what it is that you're hoping for, what you believe in, so that when there is a lack of balance, or when there is a lack of things not really being as harmonious in your life as you would like for them to be, that you're not being so disrupted by what is happening around you, and not feeling like your foundation is being completely sidestepped, so to speak. Next to that, we have the Explorer of Swords, which is essentially the Knight of Swords. I think it's more of a reminder of connecting to what it is that you're clear on going after. When I think of swords, I think it's very much like this energy of just kind of cutting through anything that has been holding you back. And I think the Knight of Swords is very much this energy of like, what is the message? What are you communicating? Where is your truth? Where do you feel empowered here? Especially when things are not being quite as harmonious for you, and maybe making you question what you believe in, and you trying to kind of reestablish who you are and what it is that you need. So there may be some communications around you that are not being quite as direct as you would like them to be. And so there may be a little bit of this sense of like not having too much clarity, not really understanding what is trying to happen around you. Now, the Seven of Swords, this card has literally been following me around everywhere. Because it is a card where it's like talking about secrets and sneakiness, and someone's not being quite so honest. And so maybe this is a reflection of having to understand whether you have been honest with yourself, or if you've been holding back in some way, or that something is not really exactly as it may seem to you in particular situations. And so it can feel very much like there's like a veil, like you're trying to seek the truth out, so to speak. And I think with this Knight of Swords kind of pushing this energy is that maybe there's been some sort of communication where you've come to realize that not everyone is as honest as you are. And so maybe this is about an opportunity that may be showing up for you, because we have the Child of Pentacles here, which is very much about a new job, a new, like an apprenticeship, like where you just feel like you don't have as much experience with it or whatever. And as someone that is going to be starting a new career here pretty soon, like this is kind of how I'm feeling. I'm like, I don't know what is going on. And so maybe there's something that is not quite so clear on how this is going to work out. Or maybe there is an opportunity coming your way, but you just can't see it at this current moment. And maybe you need to be real with yourself that maybe it's time to make that change and to kind of step out into something new that feels a little bit scary or a little bit uncomfortable. Especially with this Explorer of Swords kind of saying like, hey, you got to see what it is that you believe in, what it is that you want. And then from there, you can kind of find what brings you warmth, what makes you happy, what makes you feel joyful, what makes you feel connected to what it is that is allowing you to truly shine. When I think of the sun, I think it's very much of like recognizing that we need the sun to live, right? Everything on earth does. And so we have to kind of figure out what the sun is in our lives. What is it that is allowing us to feel that joy, that connection, and allowing us to really show up in that energy? Now, underneath it, we have the Nine of Cups, which is a card of your wishes coming true. So even if there is a little bit of this disharmony of feeling like you're having to kind of pick and choose and step away from certain things in order to find that opportunity to really shine and find that warmth again, when you do, that's all of your wishes being fulfilled. This is everything coming together for you because you've done the work. But nines also have a lesson of learning to let something go. So maybe there is something that you've been holding back on that needs to be released, that needs to be surrendered. And so I think the Nine of Cups is saying like all of your wishes are being fulfilled. So what is it that you have been wishing for? And have you gotten clear on that stuff? And I think maybe that's where this card is kind of saying like, even when things are out of balance, find that sense of what is the truth here? How do I feel empowered? How can I bring my honesty and what feels good for me and my soul to the forefront so that my wishes can truly come true? And finally, we have the Two of Wands, which is a card of like getting out into the world taking a risk in the sense of like making those choices that spiritually speak to you. This is like taking the energy of, you know, that new vitality that maybe you've been feeling in different ways in your life and multiplying it, kind of expanding it in the sense of, I'm ready to make proactive action that allows me to show up in new ways and for me to choose and kind of find a better balance between these different aspects of myself, finding that balance with others and really moving into this next phase. So I do think that this may feel like the culmination of a lot of like the work that you've been trying to do in the last few months and this first half of this, 2024 of this year. It can feel very much like you're trying to overcome certain things. And so with that, we're uncovering uncomfortable things within ourselves. We're having to, again, seek the truth out of who we are so that our dreams can truly be fulfilled. Now, moving on to the oracle cards, we have Dove. Forgiveness. This is really just saying that maybe there is some lesson within yourself that needs to really be looked at, reconnected to. Maybe that's where you haven't really sought out the truth, is how you need to forgive certain aspects of yourself or certain things that have been going on. And maybe recognizing that just because something didn't work out the way that you had anticipated, that there is still this recognition that it is an unseen blessing, because maybe these things happening around you, as challenging as they may have felt, have allowed you to get very clear on who you are, what you want, what you need, what you're prioritizing in different ways, so that you can kind of move into this next phase and really feel like you are yourself and you're really stepping fully into all that you are and all that you need. And I think with the sense of forgiveness, of whether it's like where you're kind of kicking your own butt about maybe things not going the way that you had anticipated, or things not really working out the way that you thought they were going to, maybe it's saying you need to kind of look and reflect on a sense of forgiveness, of like forgiving yourself for not knowing enough, forgiving yourself for not doing better, all of these different things that sometimes we kind of hold ourselves to these very impossible standards that are only detrimental to our progress and the development of ourselves in a lot of ways. And I think with forgiveness, it's almost saying like maybe there's things in your life that you need to kind of forgive, whether it's, there's a sense of, things haven't really turned out the way that you thought they were going to. And so maybe you have to just kind of forgive yourself for, putting so much pressure on you to have it figured out and to have it look a certain way. So I think the unseen blessing is almost here as a reminder that just because something doesn't work out the way that we thought it was going to, doesn't mean that it's not taking us exactly where we need to be, or showing us exactly what it is that our soul desires in some ways. And as someone that has been on this planet for a couple decades now, almost too many decades, it's one of these things where I've had these realizations that I'm so glad when things didn't work out the way that I wanted them to, the things that I wish for, that I'm so glad that they didn't, because then I wouldn't be who I am right now. And I wouldn't be here talking to you guys or filming this or really doing any of the stuff that I thought that I'm doing at the current moment, because I had planned a completely different life and scope of life for myself when I was much younger. So I'm so glad that so many heartaches and heartbreaks and lessons and loss and growth and development has happened for me. And I think the unseen blessing card is very much about recognizing every wrong turn, so to speak, is bringing you exactly where you need to be. So by moving into a much more grounding energy, you will see that even as things kind of happen that are outside your scope of understanding or your scope of what it is that you wanted, being grounded, being anchored, being solid in yourself will be significant, and it'll be beneficial for you moving forward. So really take some time out to connect to that energy and give yourself that grace to say, okay, I need to take some time out to ground myself because things have shifted, things have changed, and just give yourself some space with those things to not feel like everything always has to be harmonious and balanced and all of that. It's just not going to be. But you can always choose to ground yourself a little bit more so that it does feel a little bit more balanced and harmonious and more, not so much this kind of like, oh no, I don't know what's happening here. But, kind of moving yourself back into that space of hope and faith and inspiration. Now, I felt drawn to pull 2 of these for you guys. So the first one is Awakening, which it looks kind of scary, huh? I mean, it's like this angel looks like it's on fire. There's so many different things in here. I almost feel like I want to like zoom in to like look at all of the details here, where it's almost saying like awakening is so beautiful and so heart-centered, but it's also so painful in a lot of ways. And I think since we started off with the star, and we also have Temperance, which usually has a beautiful angel on it, I think that it's more of just kind of looking at these things where it's almost like, and here Temperance is like fire and ice with making smoke, and we have a lot of smoke and fire and kind of like this angel that almost looks like it's on fire and kind of becoming or unbecoming what it is. I think it's almost recognizing that there's a lot of things that have been shifting and changing so deeply within yourself that you're not recognizing the signs as they're shifting. And I think that's where this sense of awakening is coming from, where you're kind of like, oh my gosh, I am finally starting to see a little bit clearly, but there's still a lot of smoke in the way. There's still a lot that needs to be burned off. And so it's going to take a little bit of time, and you need to be mindful of that energy. And in this awakening, with it having the number 9, I feel it's really about these like 9 of cups, these wishes, these dreams, these desires that have been within you. Like maybe those things have shifted so much, and that is kind of the unseen blessing, is that you're finally feeling more grounded in what it is that you're wishing for. And so that is your awakening, is in recognizing that how things look right now is not really how you thought they were going to be. And I think that it's really telling you that this is why there is this sense of resilience. Resilience to me is so much more than just like courage and strength. I think it's more of just almost like a tree. Trees are so resilient when we really think about it. They experience nature and are constantly having to go through everything in order for them to grow and to become stronger. And so I feel like this resilience card has a lot of this kind of energy of just like, maybe you don't see how much you've grown or how tough you've become or how resilient you truly are because you're in the middle of it. And so you're not really recognizing and seeing this development. You're not seeing this strength. You're not seeing how beautiful it is to kind of sit back and watch you be in this kind of thing. And maybe that is why we also have this awakening card where it's almost saying like, oh, I am so resilient even if all of these things have happened. And so in that, I need to find my joy, what feeds me, what nurtures me, so that my wishes can come true, so that I can find the right sort of people that want to connect with me, that bring that harmony, that make me feel connected to different things. And then we also have new moon, which actually we have a new moon on May 7th. And so I feel like maybe this new moon will be one where it's very significant for you in some ways, where it's the opportunity for beginnings, it's intention setting, it's a sense of rebirth. There's also the initial stages that are kind of brought on by recognizing that the moon is starting over, right? The moon phase is starting over. So there's a sense of stillness. There is a sense of designing your life for what it is that you really desire. And I think that maybe new moon is not just saying like, oh, you got to do something for this new moon, or you had to do something for this new moon. It's maybe just being aware and recognizing your patterns, your phases, and when is a new moon for you, like energetically, whether it's just like, okay, I'm starting over, I'm moving into this next thing. I have to give myself that time, that stillness, that period of transition, and understanding that in the initial stages, things can feel a little bit unstable, but you are resilient. You have this like sense of awakening. And if you're grounded, things are going to move exactly as you need them to. So finally, we have Pray for Insight, which is just a reminder to just kind of not forget that you don't have to do things by yourself. And you can ask for guidance and connect to that energy a little bit more. So I hope that this made sense, pile 2. thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you. Have a good one. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Hello, pile number 3. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's see what your messages are today. And I think I'm going to kind of do it how I've been doing the other ones, where I'm just like not even looking at the cards. We're just going to pull what feels good, what feels right, and then we'll see what the messages are here. Trying to like at least have some sense of order here. One more. I think that's good. What do you guys think? Think that's good? This one. We'll do this one. And we'll do, I feel this one. I'm going to pull all the cards, and hopefully I'm not making a huge mess with my other decks. So if you see me kind of reaching, it's like I'm trying to fix everything so it doesn't all become a big cluttery mess. All right. So let's see what the messages are for you today. So first we're going to start with the cards. I'm going to mix them all up. So we have the 5 of Cups, the 6 of Cups, the Page of Pentacles, the Queen of Cups reversed, the High Priestess reversed, the 4 of Swords reversed, and the Knight of Swords reversed, and the 2 of Cups. Lots of cups. Very emotional, huh? Which is funny because one of the other readings was like emotionality. So here we have energy shift, we have spider medicine, we have transition or rainbow, we have earth, we have forgiveness, and there's a lot of similar messages here with the other readings that I've just completed for this video. So it's very interesting to kind of see that there's a very common theme going on for a lot of us, even if maybe the readings have their own kind of like differences to kind of take into account. So, we're going to start with the tarot cards. So the very first card, the 5 of Cups. This typically talks about emotional loss. There is a sense of things not really working out the way that you thought they were going to. So there is sort of this sense of like an emotional challenge. And seeing so many cups here, I definitely say that there is something going on that maybe emotionally has really brought a lot of upheaval for you. Now, as we can see the figure here, she's crying over these 3 cups and then kind of overlooking that there's still 2 cups behind her being offered, or that she still has that. So I think with the 5 of Cups, it's a reminder that even if we have lost something, even if something didn't work out the way that we thought it was going to, it doesn't mean that we are so completely bereft of opportunities, and that maybe sometimes we're overlooking the gifts that are maybe being brought to us at this time. So I think with the 5 of Cups, it's almost saying like, okay, we have to look at the opportunities here. Now, next to that, we have the 6 of Cups, which is a card of nostalgia and childhood memories and like this childlike kind of energy, so to speak. And so I think with the 6 of Cups, it's almost saying like, what is it that maybe you have been holding back on in some ways, especially following the 5 of Cups. I think that it's a reminder that maybe there is something within us that we need to kind of check back on. And whether that is like a lesson from childhood, whether it's a lesson within ourselves, and having this like interesting expectation as far as like what we really need moving forward. So as we kind of move into the next card, the Page of Pentacles, which is a card of like a new job, a new opportunity, apprenticeship. It's like there's a youthfulness. There's like this sense of I need to kind of get out into the world and really do something new. And maybe this is in relation to something that you've always wanted to do, but you haven't really had an opportunity to. And maybe with this 5 of Cups is that maybe you're kind of sensing this like things haven't really worked out the way that I thought I was going to. I'm very unhappy. I, want to do something that speaks to me. And so the Page of Pentacles is kind of here saying, hey, there's a lot of opportunity here. Let's step into this and be okay with like not knowing how everything is going to work out or how it's going to be. So with the Queen of Cups reversed, I feel like there's a lack of nurturing and taking care of yourself. Maybe you've been kind of like a little bit smothered with your emotions. And so it can feel very much like you've been holding back and like holding on to too much. And so you haven't really had an opportunity to step into this kind of like divine feminine emotional energy that maybe is a little bit uncomfortable now. So there may be a lot of feelings here that need to be addressed before you can kind of trust your intuition again, because we have the High Priestess reverse. So I feel like with this one, it's just kind of saying like you're not trusting your intuition. You're not listening to yourself. You've kind of disconnected. You've been too focused in the physical that it's hard for you to feel connected to your intuition and what your heart is really trying to tell you at this time. And so you haven't been taking the time out to heal. Maybe you're too stuck in what hasn't worked out. Because if we think of the Three of Swords, we think it's like heartache and loss and sadness and isolation. The Four of Swords is our opportunity to kind of move into the next thing and heal. This being reversed, it's almost saying like we're focusing too much on those three swords, right? It's her kind of pointing towards the three swords and not seeing the sword underneath her. And so to me, it's almost saying like you're too much in your head, you're overanalyzing, you're hindering some of the growth and the potential healing that is trying to happen here in this situation. And so that may be also why you're kind of struggling with direction and momentum and movement, or even getting clear on truth, or maybe you're not allowing yourself to receive those messages from the ethers. Because when I think of the Knight of Swords, I think it's very much about what you're willing to fight for, what you're willing to show up in, and what that energy really truly means for you. So the Knight of Swords to me is very much this energy of like, okay, I want this, I need this, I'm going to go after it, this is what my truth is. And so maybe the Knight of Swords here is kind of saying like you've given up on what you're clear about, and maybe you don't really know what to believe in anymore. Maybe you're lacking in believing in yourself because things haven't really turned out the way you thought they were going to. So the Knight of Swords here is almost an invitation to say, maybe there's a lack of a message here because you're not receptive to receiving that message. And so it does make it challenging for you to kind of see the opportunities that are trying to happen for you at this time. Now, the Two of Cups is just a reminder that there's so much beauty and connection available to you, but you're kind of forgetting some of that. And so it can make it a little bit challenging to see how this is going to happen for you. I had to stop for a second to go get water. So the Two of Cups is almost saying we need to find those connections. We need to find those relationships that are supportive of us. And I think maybe by looking at all of these reverse cards where we feel like, oh, I don't really have anyone to support me. I don't really have a foundation. It's hard for me to kind of open myself up. It's hard for me to trust. It's been making it challenging for you to be receptive to the relationships that are trying to kind of come in at this time. And I think that maybe this is an opportunity for us to kind of move past some of the lessons that have happened previously, especially with this Five of Cups of like, oh, I've lost something. I don't know if I can move forward. There's just things that aren't really going to fulfill the things that I've missed out on. I think it's more of just saying, stop being so focused on knowing exactly how it's going to be and how it's going to work and what is trying to happen here. And I think with the High Priestess, it's almost saying like, you're denying yourself so many beautiful things at this time, whether it's nurturing relationships and connections and allowing yourself to really heal through these relationships and connections, and by trusting, so that the opportunity for you to find something that is much more meaningful can really establish itself here. So next to that, we have Rainbow, which is all about transition, which I think of rainbows as a reminder that we have to kind of see the rain for the rainbow to show up, right? And yes, they're beautiful and they're prisms and they are light refracted in so many different ways. And that's why we can see the colors, but we need that rain. We need the rain to happen. And so maybe you're forgetting that this transition, this rain that's been happening, is almost saying like, okay, now we can look forward to the rainbows. Now we can look at the things that are shifting and changing here. So I think with transition, it's just kind of saying you need to choose what it is that you're going to celebrate as you're kind of going through these changes and move out of this stuck energy that is not really serving you the way that it needs to. And I think with forgiveness, it's exactly like what I was talking about with these cards up here, where maybe this is forgiveness of the self. Maybe this is forgiveness of connections and relationships around you that haven't really worked out the way that you wanted to. And I think with all of this, this is almost kind of giving me the sense of maybe a lot of shit shifted for you with the eclipses. And so now you're having this like clarity on certain challenging that maybe feels very uncomfortable to kind of recognize. And forgiveness to me is not just about opening ourselves up to the possibility of giving this to other and extending this to others. I think it's also about learning how to extend that to ourselves, whether it's forgiveness of I thought things were going to be a certain way, or I, have blocked myself and I've not given myself an opportunity to really trust and connect more to myself. Forgiveness, I feel, is such a key element to spiritual growth and development. And I think that this is almost saying like we have to kind of move into this energy. We have to forgive. We have to kind of move forward. And I think maybe with the Earth card, it's almost saying like, again, you need to kind of reestablish what you value in your physical day-to-day life. When I think of the alchemical element of Earth, I think this is like money, career, finances, our physical body, our physical health, our physical surroundings. And I think right now is that maybe it's saying like, what is Earth to you? Where is Earth for you in your current kind of scope of importance and things that are happening? And maybe this is like the transition is physically happening, so you need to kind of forgive yourself for the things that are shifting, whether that's like a change in your physical health, a change in your physical wealth, a change in your physical world that maybe is trying to happen, that maybe is being held back a little bit because you are refusing to kind of shift into this next thing. Now, it's interesting that we also have energy shift here, and there's almost to me looked like a rainbow for a second. Excuse me. I think it's more of a reminder that there are things that are trying to change, and we have to be just as receptive to those energetic shifts as we do to the transitions that are trying to happen. And I think with this, it's almost saying like things are changing. It may not be changing the way that you thought it was going to or as quickly as you wanted them to, but things are shifting, and you have to just kind of move into this energy, allow it to be what it's trying to be, and not hold yourself back according to what has happened previously or how you thought things were going to be. And I think finally with like these oracle cards, before I kind of talk about the final card, is Spider Medicine is really talking about that cosmic web. It's talking about community, but it's also destruction, and it talks about creating those timelines for yourself. And what I mean by that, if you're not into like the very super woo stuff, is really getting clear about what you're doing from this point forward. When I think of creating a timeline, I think it's more of just like I'm choosing what I need to change here, Earth, and transition into something else. And by doing so, I need to forgive myself for the things that haven't worked out, and I need to kind of just allow that energy shift to really take me where I need to go. And I think with Spider Medicine, another key thing is that community, is that connection. It's that looking at like the cosmic web, so to speak, of everyone being connected and everything being something significant. And maybe you've forgotten your place in the web because you've been caught up in other things. And so now you're having to kind of realize like, I need community, I need connection, I need people that are going to show up for me the way that I've shown up for them. And finally, we have do not play the victim, which is maybe just a reminder. And it's maybe saying like, hey, you have kind of kept yourself a little bit small. You've kept yourself a little bit stuck in things. And I think with the Five of Cups kind of starting off this reading, it's almost saying that maybe you're stuck in old patterns of thinking and feeling. And so you're allowing that story to dictate how the rest of your story is going. When in actuality, it's almost saying like, hey, maybe your inner child got very wounded in this, but you have an opportunity to kind of move into something else. And you don't have to always remain in that, oh, no one's cared for me, or oh, no one's really showed up for me, or I'm the only one. And so you're not allowing yourself to kind of trust and heal and move on and tell yourself a different story. So I think with do not play the victim, especially with forgiveness being one of the cards here, that it's almost saying like, if you learn to forgive, if you learn to kind of work through these things, the transition out of this like victimhood and being stuck in this story that I feel is saying, hey, we have to shift this story. We need to change the story. We're trying to transition the story because it's not making sense. And we need to get clear on who we are and what we believe versus allowing ourselves to kind of stay stuck in what other people have told us we should be doing and what's happening. And I think my microphone died. Oh, man. I think my microphone died. That's microphone died. Sorry, I didn't realize my microphone died. But as I was saying, hopefully it's recorded okay, and it may have had some issues with the sound, and I really do apologize because I know that that's kind of annoying, and I hate whenever it does that, and I don't know when it kind of turned off. But as I was saying, is we need to kind of allow this energetic shift and to really move into forgiveness and really stepping fully into who we are, what we want, what we need, and giving ourselves an opportunity to kind of move into that energy. So I hope that you enjoyed this reading, pile number 3. Hopefully you're not thinking that I'm over here just like calling you out on stuff, because I feel like anytime I do these readings, I'm also telling myself something that I also need to hear. So I hope that you're allowing the shift to really take root and to move into this next phase, because I do think that there's beautiful things that are trying to happen. Just not see them exactly as they are right now, or really have a lot of clarity to see it as it's trying to kind of come into your life. So please take care, stay safe, make good choices, and I appreciate you joining me today. Have a good one. Bye.